Welcome to English with Podcast, where we help you improve your language skills while learning valuable life lessons. I'm Sarah, and today we're talking about a crucial topic for workplace success, time management.
And I'm David, a time management expert. I'm excited to share some practical tips with our listeners today.
Great to have you here, David. Let's start with the basics. How would you define time management for our English learners?
Time management is the process of planning and organizing how to divide your time between different activities. It's about working smarter, not harder, to get more done in less time.
That's a clear explanation. Now, what's your top tip for managing time effectively at work?
My number one tip is to prioritize tasks. Start each day by making a to-do list and ranking tasks by importance and urgency.
That makes sense. How can our listeners create an effective to-do list?
I recommend using the ABC method. Label tasks as A, B, or C tasks are urgent and important. B tasks are important but not urgent. And C tasks are neither urgent nor important.
Can you give us an example of how this might look in practice?
Sure. Let's say you're a marketing manager, and A task might be finishing a presentation for tomorrow's client meeting. A B task could be brainstorming ideas for next month's campaign. And a C task might be reorganizing your email folders.
Those examples really help clarify the concept. Now, many of our listeners struggle with procrastination. Any advice on overcoming this challenge?
Absolutely. One effective technique is the Pomodoro technique. Work on a task for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. After 4 Pomodoros, take a longer break of 15-30 minutes.
That's interesting. How does this help with productivity?
It breaks work into manageable chunks and helps maintain focus. Plus, the promise of a break can motivate you to power through tasks.
I can see how that would be helpful. Let's talk about distractions. In today's digital world, how can we minimize interruptions?
Great point, Sarah. I recommend turning off notifications on your phone and computer when working on important tasks. Also, try using website blockers to avoid time-wasting sites during work hours.
Those are practical tips our listeners can implement right away. Now, let's discuss meetings. They're often seen as time wasters. How can we make them more efficient?
The key is to have a clear agenda and stick to it. Start and end on time, and only invite necessary participants. If possible, try standing meetings. They tend to be shorter and more focused.
Excellent advice, David. As we wrap up this part of our discussion, could you share one final tip for our listeners?
Certainly. Remember, it's not about managing time. It's about managing yourself. Be mindful of how you spend your time and continuously look for ways to improve your efficiency.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today, David.
It's been my pleasure, Sarah. I hope our listeners find these tips helpful in both their professional lives and their English learning journey.
Now it's time for our practice session to reinforce what we've learned. Listeners, you'll need a pen and paper for this part. We'll go through a series of exercises to help you remember the vocabulary and concepts we've discussed.
Let's begin with a vocabulary review. We'll say a word, and you should write it down along with its definition. Ready?
First word, prioritize.
Prioritize means to arrange items in order of importance.
Next word, procrastination.
Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing something.
Third word, agenda.
An agenda is a list of items to be discussed at a meeting.
Last word, efficient.
Efficient means working in a well-organized and competent way.
Now, let's move on to some true or false questions. Write down whether you think each statement is true or false.
Statement 1. The ABC method labels the most important tasks as C.
Statement 2. The Pomodoro technique involves working for 25 minutes followed by a 5-minute break.
Statement 3. It's recommended to keep all notifications on to stay updated while working.
Statement 4. Standing meetings tend to be shorter and more focused.
Let's review the answers. Statement 1 is false. The ABC method labels the most important and urgent tasks as A.
Statement 2 is true.
Statement 3 is false. It's recommended to turn off notifications to minimize distractions.
And statement 4 is true.
For our next exercise, we'll give you sentences with missing words. Fill in the blanks with the correct word or phrase from our discussion.
Sentence 1. Good time management enables you to work blank, not harder.
Sentence 2. The blank is a method of labeling tasks as A, B, or C based on their importance and urgency.
Sentence 3. To minimize distractions, it's recommended to turn off blank on your phone and computer.
Sentence 4. It's not about managing time. It's about managing blank.
Let's review the answers. The first blank should be filled with smarter.
The second blank is ABC method.
The third blank is notifications.
And the last blank is yourself.
For our final exercise, we'll ask you some questions about time management. After each question, pause the audio and spend about 30 seconds answering out loud. Try to use the vocabulary and concepts we've discussed.
Question 1. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to managing time at work?
Question 2. Which of the time management techniques we mentioned do you think would be most helpful for you? Why?
Question 3. Can you think of an example of an A, B, and C task in your own work or studies?
Question 4. How do you currently handle distractions during your workday? What could you improve?
Great job completing these exercises. Take a moment to review your written answers and make any corrections based on the answers we provided.
Remember to keep practicing the vocabulary and concepts we discussed today. The more you use these words and ideas in your daily life, the better you'll become at both time management and English.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of English with Podcast. We hope you found it helpful for both your professional development and English language skills.
Until next time, manage your time wisely and keep practicing your English.
Goodbye, everyone.